Hi, everybody. All right, so today I'm going to go over the Unit 1 progress test free response answers. Again, these are in the AP classroom, and I just wanted to go over how I would type them out. Again, my name is Mrs. Palachuk, if you don't know who I am, and I've been an AP grader. Again, I don't have the answer keys for these. This is just purely what I would have written and encouraged my students to write. Again, I want to go over space, order, define, apply. Again, these are the things that you should want to make sure that you're applying when you're going through writing. Leave a space in between each answer. You want to answer your question in order. This helps your reader. Define, even though it may not ask for it, and apply back to the prompt. So if it talks about a person, like this first prompt talks about Dr. Aguilera, you want to make sure that you mention him and his or her and she, it's like she, her experiment. Okay. All right. So for the unit first one, what we have here, it says Dr. Oop, I went too far. Aguilera conducts a psychological research that examines factors associated with college student performance, academic student performance. She administered the survey, so it's a survey to 127 participants from her university students subject pool. In the survey, she asked students to report their current college GPA or grade point average. Dr. Aguilera also asked questions about sleeping, eating, and social media use. In addition, she asked 10 questions that assessed anxiety. Participants indicated their responses to each anxiety item on a 5-point scale. One indicated no anxiety and one indicated extreme anxiety. Dr. Aguilera summed each participant's answer to these 10 items to form one anxiety score. Dr. Aguilera analyzed the data and found that the correlation between anxiety and academic performance was a negative 0.64. And it's nice it told you it was significant. And the relationship between hours sleeping per night and academic performance was a correlation of 0. All right, so part A. Based on this data, state the most appropriate conclusions Dr. Aguilera could make about the relationships between the following. So, anxiety and academic performance. So I said, and again I mentioned Dr. Aguilera's name, could state the following relationship. As anxiety increases, academic performance decreases. This is a significant negative correlation, meaning it was unlikely for this result to occur by chance. Again, I know it's significant because of that negative 0.64. It's closer to 1. I also know that it's a negative correlation because of the negative score, and it's not likely due to chance because it is closer to 1. Hours sleeping per night and academic performance. There was no correlation or relationship that it found because there was a 0 correlation between the hours sleeping and academic performance. The numbers of hours slept had no impact at all on academic performance in either direction. Again, I know that because it gave me a 0 in the prompt. Next. Explain how each of the following may contribute to the interpretation of Dr. Aguilera's findings. All right, so operational definition. Again, I define it here. An operational definition, and then I give an abbreviation. You can do this, but you need to type it out first. Quantifies a variable. You would need to know how Dr. Aguilera operationally defined hours of sleeping per night and how exactly anxiety was defined. There is a huge difference between generalized anxiety disorder and having anxiety over grades. By not using an operational definition of these terms, students can interpret these words differently, thus impacting Dr. Aguilera's significance of her findings. So one of the things you should know here is that operational definition comes up quite a bit on AP exams. You need to know that it is a quantification of the variable. It is not the dependent variable itself or the independent variable itself. It's how am I measuring it, okay? So in this case, they're not really telling us specifically hours of sleep. How am I defining that? Is that when I actually am asleep, I have some sort of Fitbit measuring it? Am I actually, again, when I go to sleep and I wake up, when I lay in my bed and then I get out of bed? Again, we need to define that because, again, people may be answering the survey different based on that. Next part, cohort effect. I actually had to look this up, and a cohort effect is actually similar to extraneous variables. For example, all college students could share a similar experience that impacts the results and potentially would make the results for different age students. So for instance, if I have all college students that have some sort of, they're all millennials, okay, and they all share some sort of significant trauma from some sort of event, this could impact the overall results. And it might not be different, or it would be different if you're trying to apply it to everyone in the country or other types of students from around the country that are different ages. And so again, you need to be careful with that because it is again a flaw. So that's the first one. Again, those are my takes on what the answers would be. Again, mine is not the only one that is correct. And so again, it's just a guess. So second question, City University is eager to attract new students. One strategy the university has chosen to attract new students is to demonstrate to prospective students the happiness of its current students, or operationally defined as how students rated their satisfaction with various services offered by the university on a scale of 1 to 10. The university officials designed a survey asking about student happiness and sent the survey via email to 25% of the university students, with equal distributions of students in each class: first year, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. They received responses from students in each class, and the responses are in the figures below. Okay. First things I need to look at is what is here, and I see that I have my 4 groups. I have my mean happiness score, okay? Again, this is a skewed distribution here. What you'll see is a skewed distribution, okay? And so this is the mean happiness score, and we're going to take that into consideration when we're looking at this. Okay, so university officials use the results to try to attract new students, okay, and attending for longer periods of time, okay? So evaluate the appropriateness of the universal officials' conclusion. So my question would be, how many students from each grade level return the survey, because fewer students turning in surveys could impact the appearance of the overall happiness. We also should take into consideration the extraneous variable that first-year students are not familiar with all the services at the university and that they are unhappy. It is like just that they don't know all the university has to offer yet. So again, what they're looking for here, again, what I believe is that there's going to be errors in the way that they're measuring this, because again, they're not looking at all those potential extraneous variables like I'm mentioning here. Next, explain how each of the following elements is related to the survey. Okay, so random assignment. Okay, random assignment, you would not use this in a survey because this is only for an experiment. Again, random assignment comes up quite a bit, and you're only going to use it for an experiment to place participants into the control group or experimental group by chance. Random sampling. Random sampling, it did not mention random sampling. It just said that they selected 25% of the grade level and sent it out. So this could be a sampling bias. So the study did not mention random sampling. It said it sent a survey to 25% of each grade level, but it did not mention that all students from each grade level had an equal chance of being selected. Notice I put the definition in here, equal chance of being selected. By not conducting a random sample, extraneous variables are not controlled, and so therefore there is sampling bias. And last, measures of central tendency. The 3 measures of central tendency are mean, median, mode. In this case, the mean was a score that calculated, or the university calculated for each group of students. We know that the measures of central tendency can be skewed by outliers, so perhaps the mean was not the best score to use, and the mode would be less impacted by outliers, giving a more accurate view of the data. Again, I'm not quite sure what they were looking for specifically here, but I know that the mean is a measure of central tendency. That was what they graphed, and I do know that this also looks like a skewed distribution. So again, that could throw off their interpretation of data. All right, so that's my take on it. I hope you find this helpful, and good luck.